What's up, good people? Welcome into Montgomery and Company. I'm your host, Renee Montgomery, and fall sports are popping in October. I mean, we got a little bit of everything. The WNBA playoffs are in full swing, but it kind of makes me think about the end of season blues when that means there's less and less games. You know, like when you're like, what game's on tonight? And then you go check and it's like, there's no games on tonight. That's the worst. But finals are around the corner, but it just still brings me to the blues. Then we got, ushering in the NBA season. That's just weeks away, which is crazy that the official start is weeks away. And here in ATL, I know we're all watching this year's #1 draft pick, Zachary Risache, baby. Risache, okay? Y'all better get used to saying that, me too. But I'm curious to see what he's going to do in his rookie season with the Hawks. I mean, we got Trae Young back that looks like he's going to have another great season. Jalen Johnson, I want to see what kind of jump he has. Bogey's back, baby. So this could be an interesting year. And you know what? Speaking of interesting years, it's football season. So I'm watching our Atlanta Falcons. Y'all know I pledge my allegiance to all Atlanta sports. I'm from West Virginia, so we didn't have sports in West Virginia, pro sports. So I was just traveling around, living my life. But then when I set my roots here at ATL, I pledge my allegiance to all the home teams. And so that brings me to the Falcons because they were supposed to be trying to have a rebuild year coming off of Kirk Cousins' Achilles injury, but it looks like they're a little ahead of schedule. Like I've seen now that we beat the Philadelphia Eagles. We were one play away, and y'all know what one play I'm talking about. We were one play away from beating the Chiefs, and we whooped the Saints on rivalry week. So, that counts as, like, we should have got 2 wins for that. Then, I wanted to shout out the Braves because when I first was going to talk about ATL right now in October, I was going to mention the Braves, but we recently just got knocked out. Love the Braves. Shouts to them. Every year, though, they're doing big things. So they're the last team to win a championship here in ATL. So always shouts to the Braves. And that brings me to this week's MVP of the week. So my MVP of the week is the students of Georgia Tech and the nonprofit Flowing with Blessings, Inc. Georgia Tech's industrial design students created a mobile laundry bus for ATL's Unhoused. Like, they created it themselves. And that bus, like, they already had provided showers for the unhoused people for several years. And follow them, y'all, at Flowing with Blessings, Inc. They wanted to find a way to allow their clients to leave not only clean, but with clean clothes. So they bought a school bus. And Tech students designed the layout of the washers and the dryers. The organization has already served over 4,500 individuals. They assist approximately 60 people a day. Come on, Georgia Tech. So needless to say, we love to see it. We love what you're doing. And shouts to Georgia Tech and everything they're doing over there. So let's get into this week's episode. We'll be right back with more MoCo. Welcome back to Montgomery and Company. You know what time it is. It's time for Let's Talk ATL, where we talk about what's popping in the A. So we got my guy, David Perdue. Y'all know him, comedian, podcast host of What's Good Atlanta. And then y'all don't know him, but y'all gonna get to know him. This is journalist Julien Virgin. What's up, fellas?
Ain't nothing.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Let's go.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
He Rico Suave. I think y'all gonna like him or whatever. He's a little Rico Suave, but I'm gonna get it kicked off because we talk about what's going on in these streets, and I heard that Atlanta is being considered for the Super Bowl for 2028. Atlanta is rumored to host the Super Bowl. Black Enterprise reports that officials will be meeting in Atlanta in October to decide if Atlanta is the city that should host in 2028. We've previously hosted 3 Super Bowls, 94, 2000, 2019. Y'all all 9. Do y'all remember any of those moments?
They owe us this.
They owe us this.
They know what they did. They owe us this. They know what they did.
Let's just get right into it then. What did they do and why do they owe us this?
They owe us this because that halftime, we didn't have nothing to do with that halftime show. That could have been any other city in America that did not represent Atlanta fully. Shout out to Big Boy though, that was fine. But other than that, it was not represented properly. They owed us this. So I don't know what they're meeting about. Just put it in stone. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
That is interesting that you say that. I think like revisionist history is always like interesting to go back and look at it. Just at the time when the last Super Bowl was in Atlanta, that was when the Kaepernick situation was going on. That was a national discussion. And when you say shout out to Big Boy was definitely like not even on the bill.
Right.
He was kind of just like an extra that just kind of came out of nowhere. Right. And that was the only person we got. And so I think my question to y'all is, when you look back at it, was it the right decision for that to happen the way it did?
Oh, for us to force Big Boy on it?
Not just to force,
Yes.
not to force
Always
Big Boy on
force
it,
Big Boy on it.
but just in general, like, could you understand why people weren't involved with that Super Bowl?
Why they weren't? I was just trying to figure out why Maroon 5 wasn't playing hits from songs about Jane.
Okay.
Why they playing these random other songs that we supposed to know? We know you for a couple songs.
I mean, for me, I think about, like, if we gonna complain, everybody can complain. Because if you look at the Vegas Super Bowl, if you look at all the Super Bowls, it's not that they always have the city represented. Now, when there's cities, I feel like the caveat we're all trying to say is, if it's a city that is big in music, like if it's New York, if it's ATL, if it's LA, then I think everybody's like, these are the cities you gotta lean in on the people. Because right now we can see that New Orleans, there's a big discussion right now going on with New Orleans where Kendrick Lamar is headlining, and a lot of people, well, Weezy's camp, Lil Wayne's camp is pretty much like, how can y'all not have us? But New Orleans has had the Super Bowl before, as we know, and it hasn't necessarily. So where does the line draw where you gotta get the people from the city?
I'll say this, Wayne, you know why you're not performing at the Super Bowl. Don't act brand new. You know why you're not performing. The word is out. You don't even remember. You have too many songs. You don't remember all the words a lot. That's just a fact. You said this. I've seen him say this. This is not me.
Oh, okay.
Also, if this was in New York, they wouldn't have gave them Maroon 5. If New York would have got Maroon 5, no, if New York had it, they were like, all right, we're going to throw Maroon 5, and then we might throw Fat Joe out there. Like, that would be weird. That would not be weird. Is it weird to anybody else?
I just think that it's all about timing, right? And maybe if it was 10 years ago, if the Super Bowl was in New Orleans, Lil Wayne would have been a little bit more fit because he was at the top of his powers. Right now, when I look at Lil Wayne, I'm a little concerned about him, just on like on a physical standpoint. And so now when it comes to Atlanta, it was just a timing situation with the Kaepernick situation. If they were supposed to come back in 2028, I feel like everybody would be on board with it.
So who in 2028 then? Who should definitely be the halftime act if we get the Super Bowl in 2028? Who is it?
See, that's above my pay grade.
Okay.
Throw out some names.
All right, I mean, I would say Jeezy.
Okay.
Right, he's got some hits.
Halftime performance.
I'm thinking it shouldn't be just one person.
Okay, but then I'm throwing in Ludacris. I feel like the show that he will put on. I'm just saying Ludacris is going.
I think Ludacris has to start the conversation.
Yeah, I would agree with that
because Ludacris is somebody that is palpable for everybody, right? Yeah. And the Super Bowl is a celebration for America, right? And you have to think about the broader demographics. So I think Ludacris would be probably the first person to start with. We think Jeezy is very much so regional. I mean,
but they have a little Jeezy set though. Give him a little set though.
Nah, give him a song.
Yeah, I'm not saying the whole thing.
Give him a song. Give T.I. a song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe give Future a song.
Depending on who's in the Super Bowl. Could get weird.
Who can't he pour? Who can't? Jesus. Who can't Future?
If the Steelers in the Super Bowl, that's gonna be a weird.
By 2028, respectfully, by 2028, I don't think that Russell Wilson will still be in the league.
That's fair. You're a good journalist.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Paying attention to the
that's
facts.
True.
We're like he wants the mess.
You
bringing in the facts.
A little bit of mess is good.
No, little yin and the yang. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like that. All right, so the Super Bowl, if it comes in 2028, we could basically have a whole set of led by Luda, and he brings in all these different acts. We named all men. I know I'm up here with some fellas, but
Monica. Yeah, that's a given.
Fair. Yeah. TLC, can we maybe get like a TLC, maybe Chili come out there?
Absolutely.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Just throwing it out there.
Thank you. I'm just, I'm just trying to level the playing field.
I'm 100% with you on that.
And then let's be real. Atlanta is always cultivating and producing new talents. Yeah. So by 2028, you never know who's going to be on a national platform that is representing them.
That's true.
This guy's a journalist. I'm trying to tell you. What kind of music do you listen to?
About a little bit of everything. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I just, yeah.
I could throw John Mayer in there if you want to. Ain't he from here?
We could throw Jermaine in there.
I said John Mayer.
John Mayer.
Oh.
Yeah, we could throw John Mayer in there. Absolutely.
It.
And John Mayer is still in tune with everything.
Exactly.
And being that is the Super Bowl, and it is America's biggest day, essentially. John Mayer, I feel like will add some diversity.
Just throw a John Mayer with a Lil Jon like remix. I don't know.
John Mayer.
Let's just get me
with
on the
Lil
board.
John collab. That's where it's
Yes.
at. I think that might end up being people's favorite part of the set
I'm
of
here to help.
Super Bowl. But I digress. All right, so I just wanted to see what y'all's thoughts were on Super Bowl. What y'all got for me though, David? What you got?
All right, this is more of a personal thing, but I think it applies. I think it can apply to anybody in Atlanta. I'm here to talk about barbers and barber etiquette.
Okay, I like
Barber
this.
etiquette, or it could be, it could be barbershop, beauty shop, whatever.
Shouts to Lo. He told me to shout out Lo does my braids. Shouts to Lo. You said beauty shop.
I would shout out my
Stylist.
barber, but we beefing
Yeah.
right now,
Oh,
so
oh.
I can't shout out. I'm currently a barber free agent. Yeah, I'm a free agent.
Okay, tell
This-
us what happened
All right.
because this is this is big
true.
news.
A couple weeks ago, I got a call to perform at the Fox Theater. It was my first time performing at the Fox.
Wow.
So I was like excited. But I was like, I got to be crispy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I called my barber, no answer, right? I text him, nothing. I said, hey man, I need this. If ever I needed you, it's right now. Nothing. And I've been with him for like probably over 10 years.
Wow.
So this is not like a new person. You know what I'm saying? And so I got nothing. So a day before, I'm just circling the city, just hoping I get a right feel for a barbershop. And I stumbled upon one, and it was okay. You know what I mean? But am I going back? No. So I'm just here I know this can't be my only problem. I know it's got to be other people in the city. Hey, what is the barber etiquette? What are the rules? And who are your favorite barbers? This is a plea.
Wow.
Because I broke up. And this is.
Does he know you? Did you break up with him? Like,
He should know.
Wait, no, you just ghosted him because we had a whole.
I ghosted him. He ghosted me.
But I'm
I
saying,
needed
does
him.
he know y'all are no longer together?
No, we didn't have that conversation.
He gonna spin the block. Let's be honest. When it comes to
Yes!
when you
Yeah.
have somebody for 10 years,
Yeah.
like they're a part of your life.
100%.
And, you know what I'm saying? Like you gonna spend because there's gonna come another time where you're gonna have another performance.
Yeah.
At a place.
Yeah.
Better than the Fox Theater.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
you gonna need something fresh.
Listen.
And you know who you gonna call. You know who
That
they want.
was my problem. This is my second time coming back.
I can't-
This is a true
Oh,
story.
no.
This is a true story. This is years ago. The first time I broke up with this same barber, I went to another barber and he was good, but he was like put designs in. It was dope. Until I never used to question. I was like, whatever design you want, you go ahead and do. And then one day I get out the chair and I'm thinking I'm doing good. I go do a show. I see my brother. He go, hey man, you ain't even wearing Nikes. And I was like, what you mean I'm not wearing Nikes? What I got to do with anything? Come find out my barber put a Nike check in the back of
No.
my head.
Yeah,
and I
see.
didn't know. But this was the barber. This was the new barber.
Is it because you always wear Nikes? Because I just
No,
feel like
I
you
wasn't
got a
wearing
lot of
Nikes at the time.
Oh, okay.
So it made no sense. But that was me breaking up with the first barber. So
Okay.
then I went back to my original barber, this current one, who now I'm beefing with now.
So there's a lot to break down here.
Yes.
You said first of all, the vibes. You go off the vibes when
I
you look
did.
at. Okay, what are you looking for when you go to a new barbershop?
Oh,
All
that's
right,
a good
I
point.
need general customer service. Like, hey, I want you here. Sometimes you walk in places, they're like, what are you doing here? And that's not good business at all. Right? So I just need to, hey, I want you here.
You need to feel welcome.
Yeah, and then I need people to like look like they also want to be there too. Like I don't want to be anybody first cut. You know what I'm saying?
Not okay, because a lot of times if you're just a walk-in at the barbershop, they'll normally put you at the guy that's all the way in the back, that's sitting there, sitting down, damn near asleep.
Yeah.
Excuse me, halfway
This is
asleep,
true.
right?
And I always go, I'll wait.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
for real? And that you don't feel like hurting nobody's feelings?
I
Like
hurt. Anybody feels for my hairline. Anybody
You
can get hurt
don't,
feelings
you
for my
don't.
hairline.
But like, I will say this: there are times where before I even go into a barbershop, if I am on a free agency,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm on my free agency tour, I do like to go around to kind of like see where it's at. Now, I have a preference. If I'm on this free agency tour,
Mm-hmm.
I start with like a Dominican barbershop.
Okay.
That's how I start.
Oh.
Or it's like a certain part of town that you want to go to get your hair cut.
Shouts to my Dominicanas. My wife's
Okay.
Dominican. I got a question though. Why you texting him? Why isn't he just open? It's not his normal hours.
See,
Oh,
we
nah.
had a relationship.
Oh, nah.
He knew if it was something I could hit him up.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, hit me up.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying. This is why it hurts, Renee.
Okay.
Because he used to be like, yo, I'll stay to shop later for you, Dave.
Yeah.
I got you. Like, we had that type of relationship.
Yeah.
The one day I needed him the most.
And he never hit you back at all.
Still ain't hit me back.
So on the Netflix has a docuseries coming out. It's called Starting 5. And Anthony Edwards talks about how he's had the same barber his whole life. Like that barber still now to this day cuts his hairline. And he actually, how y'all feel about like the little black?
Don't do that.
Oh no.
No, I was blessed by the guys.
Oh no.
I was blessed by the guys. My
Because-
hairline natural.
And that was another thing I wanted to break down. That's a great question, Renee. You said you wanted to be fresh for your performance.
Yeah.
How fresh is fresh? I am under the belief that
Ooh.
when I hop out the chair, it's too fresh.
Oh, you don't like that first day.
I like day 3 is like when you can actually lay it down, throw the do-rag on, because
you wavy. I see you doing your wave thing or
you
whatever.
Feel me? You feel
wavy.
me? You feel me? Even before.
I was looking the day before. So I would have had a whole 24 hours
to kind of like let it
kind of set in.
Because sometimes they like the Clippers might be a little too sharp. They might nick you up one time.
You gotta adjust.
You gotta have a day so your body could kind of get into the cut.
This is real. I mean, like we could have a whole discussion on barbershop.
This is the topic.
Barber etiquette.
I'm
sorry you're going through this though, David.
Rough
I
right
feel
here.
like this is. I know somebody feels you. There's a heart in the house tonight because I don't know what would happen. If I needed my hair did and Low all of a sudden went ghost on me, I've never experienced that type of
see the pain in
betrayal.
my
That's a hurt.
That's betrayal.
It
I
truly
feel
is.
it.
Thank you.
I see you. We hear you.
Thank you, Renee.
What do you got for us, Julien? Like, well, after that, I mean, come on.
that's a tough train to follow. I want to take it on a little bit of a more somber note. Dikembe Mutombo passed away.
Oh man,
58 years
shouts to the
old, brain
legend.
cancer, and I grew up, born and raised in Atlanta. I'm a 94 kid, right?
Wow.
So Dikembe Mutombo was like one of the first like recognizable sports stars in Atlanta for myself. And 8-time All-Star, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, first global ambassador for the National Basketball Association.
Wow.
And I wanted to bring that up to acknowledge his life, his contributions, and also just like what other stars in Atlanta could pass away that like would make like that type of impact for you.
Yeah, like that's because he's global. I know what
He's
you're
global and like he expanded the game. And like you're seeing right now in the game of basketball, you're seeing players. It's a global game now.
Yeah.
Players from all over, and like he was a trailblazer in that sense.
Definitely,
and so
definitely.
I want to make sure that we give him his flowers. Some snaps
I
and
love
flowers
that,
from
yeah.
my man Dikembe
Yeah, I love
Mutombo,
that.
58 years young, that is. And so I want to kick it to y'all. Like, what other sports stars would be recognizable for you that would like, oh dang, they passed away. Like I remember, like they made that imprint on me when I was younger.
Wow. I mean, I'm from West Virginia, so I think Jerry West is a big one. That he's the logo. So first of all, that's wild that the logo is from West Virginia.
Right.
Like people in West Virginia were like, dang, that's crazy as the logo. But it's crazy because it's like I think like what happened with Kobe when you pass away young, like that was global, but I feel like there's the Michael Jordans of the world that, I mean, it's weird almost talking about like what will happen to people,
right.
But it's like, I think just all those mega stars, but I know what your point is for Dikembe, but I think about when they talked about Michael and when he went to the Olympics and how that was the first time that globally people even like that Olympic team that they were a part of globally took over, where brands, deals, all of that. So it's hard to have a global impact because we look at ourselves as Americans and with our world, we are the center of our universe as Americans. But you go overseas and they don't care about half the topics we talking about that might be big topics. So to your point, being a global star is different.
From the Congo,
Just
imagine what Dikembe Mutombo meant to the kids in the neighborhoods of Congo.
Right.
So I just want to make sure I give him his flowers. Like, what would be that person for you?
I mean, I grew up a baseball kid. I love baseball.
Snap.
So when Henry Aaron passed, that was big because that was the first like superstar. Like I remember my dad bringing home after working as a kid. He like saw him on the street and he signed an autograph for him. You know what I mean? Atlanta's so small. I remember when I went to college, Henry Aaron's daughter was my Spanish teacher.
That is
You know what I'm
crazy.
saying? You know what I mean? So it's like I'm like, I got to get an A now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan or whatever.
Actually studying.
Like I've met Billy Aaron on some projects I've worked on. So it's like that for me was like that was a big one. And, obviously he was of age, much older, but at the same time, that was like the first like superstar, in my opinion, for Atlanta. It was Henry Aaron. So yeah, that one for sure for me.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And honestly, shouts to Basketball Without Borders. You talk about impacts that are made. Shouts to Basketball Without Borders, NBA Africa, all the different things now that globally. I mean, even look at how the NFL now, they have preseason games internationally. Like there's international is the sports language. That's how sports connects everything. But that's a good point. So rest in peace to the legend Dikembe Mutombo. He came to a dream game and was turned up on the sidelines. He was wagging his feet.
No.
That's iconic. Like you beat somebody's shot and tell them no. That was so polite. That's who he is. That was so polite. But shouts to my guys. I appreciate y'all coming through. David Perdue, follow him online at Do or Die. We got Julien _Virgin online.
Can't
Shouts
forget
to
it.
my guys. I appreciate y'all coming through.
Thanks for
We'll
having
be
me.
back with more MoCo. All right, so listen, y'all know how we like to do on Montgomery and Company. We, of course, talk about sports. We talk about the culture. We talk about business, and we love, love, love to have founder conversations, people that are entrepreneurs that started businesses. So I'm excited to welcome award-winning entrepreneur and inventor who was named one of USA Today's 21 most influential Black leaders in technology, founder of Urban World, which, if you don't know, is the largest international festival dedicated to nurturing women and people of color. Listen, this co-founder and CEO, Stacy, I'm just telling you right now, Stacy Spikes is all of the things. I'm sorry, I had to do all the intros, Stacy. He's the CEO and founder of MoviePass. Stacy, welcome to Montgomery and Company.
Thank you so much for having me. That's a great intro.
Let's go. This is really your life. So it's always whenever you have to start slimming down the intro, you know you're doing some things. So first of all, I'm trying to become a movie critic. In my mind, I'm a TV and film critic because I binge, I watch, I analyze. So were you a movie enthusiast? How did MoviePass come about?
Oh, I love movies. They are my life. People say, well, what would you do if you weren't doing movies? I said movies. So when you're trying to escape from your job, you go do your job, that you're in the right job. So I love it. And I think I have the best job on earth, being able to help filmmakers' films be seen and help the audiences connect with them. And I just can't imagine doing anything better.
See, that's dope because that's how I felt as an athlete. It's like sports, I speak sports even now. Like I'm sports explaining things and I'm about to do it again because as an athlete, I know what it's like to have a loss, have a big loss, have something that I thought was my baby that I've been working all my life on, and then it gets taken away. And so you, in a certain sense, had a similar experience where you built something amazing and you might have experienced a loss. So like as a founder and CEO, how do you deal with those big lumps when you take that L?
I'm a person of faith, and you got to go back to the book and you got to go back to how you were raised. And, I was raised from strong people who taught me to brush my shoulders off, get up, and keep moving because I got this one life and this one opportunity and I need to make the best of it. So you don't take it personal. Everybody's got to have some defeats, and it's not about getting knocked down, but it's about getting up, getting back up.
No, I love that. And so let's get into some numbers because one thing that I watch all kinds of Mark Cuban interviews and he talks about how much he spent to get a business, how much he sold it for, how much it's doing. So I want to do that with MoviePass. Like, how do you get something like how much does it cost to get like MoviePass off the ground and to the MoviePass that we know? And then what did you sell for? Like, give me some stats, analytics. I'm an athlete. Let's go.
All right. So the first version of MoviePass, roughly, we took in around $10 million in investments. Mm-hmm. At the time of sale, it was valued at around $500 million. It was 7 years to that point. As you know from the story, the private equity group who bought it, they spent $250 million and blew it up. And then I bought it back in 2022 for $140,000 and relaunched the company. And we had our first profitable year in 2023.
Yo, listen, first of all, okay, wait a minute. Okay, because the numbers, when you said 140,000, I was thinking you was going to say million after that. So this is amazing. So just so everybody, I'm breaking it down, you built it up. 10 million, you said you brought in on the first run, sold it for $500 million. Then they blew it up and you bought it back for $140,000. What was that building the company back now? Because the name had also, there was time in between. How did you get it back to profitable?
Yeah, so COVID had happened. Theaters got shut down. The industry didn't know what it was going to do. But talk about stats. I went back and I looked at the 1918 pandemic, and most movie studios that we know today were built in the 1920s after that pandemic. So what I did was looked at the 100-year-old stats and knew the industry was going to pop again when people got to go back out of the house and go to theaters. So I made them a low ball offer and got the company back for $140,000 free and clear.
Wow. That is just like, I'm sorry, I have to keep, because it's one thing, because a lot of people, once they sell their company too, it's almost like it's gone forever. Like, there could have been the woulda, coulda, shouldas. You got it back now. What would be some pieces of advice? Like, you're saying it's like simple, but you had a company that, when you say they blew it up, just so people understand, it was like there was no value pretty much. They had basically, you had this big value thing, and by the time you got it back, the value, the name recognition, all these things have now been tarnished. How do you build up a brand?
Yeah, there's kind of, I think it's not only unique to America, but we've seen where Apple got in trouble and they let go of Steve Jobs, and Steve came back to build it to be the most valuable company on the planet. Michael Dell came back and bought Dell Computers back. The founders of Skype came back after it was sold, and they relaunched the brand. So there's a lot of times where when the original founders get kicked out, the brand loses its purpose and meaning, and somebody else thinks they can do it better. And so I think with me buying it back, being one of the original founders, that narrative and that support for getting back up and doing it again is there in kind of our folklore and American entrepreneurial spirit.
That is so good, because I think people don't understand how much a founder has to do with the branding of a company. Like, like you are the heart and soul. Like, a lot of times if you work at a job, or if you are the owner of that business, there's two different thought processes. There's two different energies. And you kind of, you showed that. We see shows like House of Gucci, Billions, and all these other shows where people either get forced out of their company or they sell it. What would you say, in a sense of somebody that has a company and they're trying to decide to sell, not to sell, what to do in these type of situations? Like, what would be your advice to them?
I mean, when you're considering that, you've taken people's money, probably you've got investors. So you need to consider, you took their money promising you were going to give it back in some profitable way. So you can't just say, I don't feel like selling. And so you do need to take your board into consideration. Usually you're promising within 7 years to either go public or have an exit of an acquisition. And so you got a time clock. And at that point, you and your board need to sit down and make a decision. They have a right to, sometimes they have a physical right to take their money off the table, that you need to give it back to them or declare a loss. So it depends on the bylaws, what deals you made along the way, but that's part of it. You need to consider that. And sometimes people think it's just, well, it's mine. Yeah. No, not when you took other people's money. It became y'all's.
That's a good point. No, that's for real a good point. And I always wonder, like, you sold, I'm just for $1 gazillion. So when finances are no longer like the question or the need, you're secure. Like, what's next for you in your brain? Because I know we listed you as an inventor, an entrepreneur. And a lot of times what I've seen with entrepreneurs is they're like, all right, I built up this thing. I have other ideas too. So what do you do to balance those other ideas that you want to bring to life while also, sustaining something that's already going well?
Well, the details of ours was pretty screwed up, because there's another thing that you have to be careful of. When you sell a company, there's 3 types of sales. Straight cash, meaning they just gave you cash and you walked away. There's equity, meaning you got stock in the buying company that's buying you. And then there's what's a cash equity mixture. And what we got was a cash equity mixture. And within the 12 months, my co-founder and I lost everything we had, because the company went under in the time that you had to wait before you could exit. Okay. And so they went bankrupt. So it was valued at $500 million. We ended up with 0. And so
What?
I went and built a whole new company and then bought the company back with the new company that I built.
Whoa, that's a lot to take in. So, I mean, thank you for this because this is why I like to have founder conversations because there's entrepreneurs everywhere. Everybody's starting a business. Everybody's trying to figure things out. I always talk sports. So what you just described in the sports term of our contracts is a product deal. So we get cash and product in
Yeah.
sports. So if I sign with Nike, Nike could give me an all product deal where they give me all just gear, merch, whatever. There's no money involved. Then there's an athlete that we can get cash and product where, by the way, athletes, you get taxed on your cash and your product. So if they give you a $50,000 contract, 20,000 of it's cash and 30,000 is product, you're getting taxed on 50,000 total. So just for the athletes out there, you had a cash product deal essentially. You're saying that the product where you got shares in, it ended up being valued at zero, so you only really took back the cash, right? Is that what you're saying?
And we didn't get the cash. No, we got an all stock deal.
Oh
We didn't
no.
end up. So what
Oh
happened was,
no.
yeah. So the lockup period was 12 months and we converted ours to stock. The cash they put into the company. And so the company got an infusion to keep going. So yes, at the top level, the company got cash and the shareholders were going to get stock. So we were purely stock, but we had a 12, they don't want to see in a publicly traded company the founders fleeing from the business moments after a deal. So what they do is they do a lockup period of sometimes 12 to 24 months that the founders can't exit because it then spooks the market. Well, why are the founders taking all their shares off the
Got
table?
you.
So within that 12 months, they went bankrupt, and then it was all over until I bought it back again.
Wow. And so what would be some advice that you would have for starting out, advice for yourself starting out that you wish you knew then, or any entrepreneur starting out? Like, what's a piece of advice you would have?
In our case, it was very specific. They didn't know much about the movie industry, and they thought that setting the price at $9.95 where Netflix was a great idea, but the average movie ticket in North America is around $15. So you can't underprice the product, and they misjudged that. They were growing very fast, but they were never going to be profitable at that price point. So in hindsight, if I had some type of control that was still maintained, I would have had them increase the price. Back when I was CEO, it was $30 a month. So it was, 3 times the price they had it at. They didn't do that, and that ultimately caused them to go bankrupt. So I wish maybe if there's a 12-month lag period that I would have been able to contractually maintain some controls during that period in between. So if it's hard if you have 2 people driving the car at the same time, somebody's got to make the decisions. I don't know that contractually we would have been able to pull that off.
Wow, that's interesting. So you would have known better to steer the ship, basically. They say there's too many cooks in the kitchen. So maybe being able to be CEO for that next 12 months, kind of, even though you sold the company, you're saying that 12-month period, that's actually really smart. And so what's next then for Stacy Spikes and MoviePass? What could even be next? I read your bio. There's a long list of things I didn't even read. What's on your agenda?
The great thing is, so we had a profitable year in 23. We're having a profitable year in 24. And we did a 5-year deal with MasterCard that now we can expand globally. We have our patents in place, and MoviePass is the only and the largest and the fastest growing theatrical subscription company in the world. So
wow.
I always say we want to be the Airbnb of cinema, where we create this 2-sided marketplace where you ignite fans who want to go, and they can travel and they can go to movies as often as they want and save money and be rewarded. So that's our vision, to be able to build that company out. And I would assume you're going to get an exit. Either you're going to go public, or a big streamer, or a big, electronic company is going to want to buy you because that's a lot of faithful subscribers about the theatrical window.
So when that moment does come, because it's coming, because as you can see your trajectory, you already know where I'm going with this. Like that moment, you're doing the exact same thing you did last time. You built this up to be a monster. Now you got to deal with MasterCard. You're going global. People are probably already sniffing around like, yes, okay. What are you going to do the second time around that's maybe different than the first? Or what are you doing the second time around when somebody wants to buy?
You know what a lot of people don't know that you talk about sports analogies. Do you know that in the US alone, people go to the movies 10 times more than all sporting events combined every year?
What?
And with one movie in 4 days of $100 million movie, the first 4 days, as many people go see that one movie as all people who attend the entire NFL season. And so what a lot of people don't realize is cinema is a really big sleeping giant that people see only one movie at a time, but they don't realize it's open 365 days a year. It gets 220 million people who go every year, and 44% of the global population goes to see a movie at least once a year. 44% of the global population.
Whoa.
So there is no company that owns movie going as an activity. There's movie theaters and there's movie studios, but no one's ever owned movie going. That's our goal. Our goal is to be able to completely own that marketplace the way Live Nation or the way, Ticketmaster or others. No one owns movie going as an activity. So it is the number one out-of-home entertainment activity in the world, and that's what we want to own.
What? Like, listen, I love stats and stuff, and that's crazy for me as an athlete to hear, because it's like I played in arenas that are sold out. I've seen the Super Bowl, big as the Super Bowl, and for you to say that, when you said 365, it made me instantly think of, because our family, sometimes we go to the movies on Christmas. Like, we go to the movies literally on holidays sometimes. Like, the Christmas releases are some of the biggest ones. And so, man, we wish you the best. Can I get a lifetime pass to MoviePass? Like, what's going on? I'm like an avid movie girl. I'll be a critic. What do I need to do? Because
whatever you need, you just call. We got you hooked up.
Let's go. No, congratulations on everything. Honestly, like, when you say it like that, in 2024, we always feel like there's nothing else that could be done. Everything's already been done. But then hearing you say, the Airbnb of movie going, controlling that market, it's like, that's what a visionary does. They think of, yes, we already know movies. Yes, we already know this, but do we know this? And so we have a 60-second shot clock of fast questions that we're going to ask you, quick hitters.
Uh-oh.
So it's just, I like to play some games. So I'm going to ask you just 5 quick hitter questions. You ready?
Okay. Yes.
Let's get it. All right. A sport you can play really well.
There isn't any.
Okay, what's a sport?
I'm in the movie business.
Oh, I love this. A sport that you're really bad at.
Basketball.
Oh, no. I need to help you. All right. If you could have one sports superpower, what would it be?
Jumping.
Love it. Me too. If you could brag you beat any athlete at any sport, what would it be? Who would it be? I'm sorry. Who?
Usain Bolt.
Oh, good one. That might be the first time we've heard that one. What would your walkout theme song be when you're coming on stage?
Don't call it a comeback.
Hey, I've been here for years. Let's go, Stacy. Let's go. That's all I got, man. I appreciate you joining me here on MoCo.
Thank you, Mo.
Welcome back to Montgomery and Company. We're here talking family business. We got the crew with us. Snook is in the building again. My wife, Sirena, my sister, Cole, calling in from Maryland. Woo, y'all. I read it ahead. I'm sorry. I already read ahead to the MoCo Mailbag today. If you don't know what the MoCo Mailbag is, we like people write in. They tell us their situations, their situationships, and we try to give our thoughts, advice, opinions. You ain't got to take it, but we got multiple generations giving it. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about. Y'all ready for this one?
I'm scared.
I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared.
All right, dear MoCo, my friend dated a woman when we were in our 20s, and after about a year, they broke up. 10 years later, she and I reconnected and we're in love. I've been nervous to tell my friend because I wonder if he'll be angry at me or feel like I crossed the line. Am I wrong for dating someone my friend used to date? Should I tell him my secret? Signed, homie, lover, friend.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Sticky situation.
I mean, they dated for 1 year, and this is 10 years later.
A year's a long time. I'm just saying.
I think it depends on what you disclosed to your friend when you were talking with that person.
Well, they're already in love now.
Well, no, I'm saying back in the day when you were talking with that person and your best friend was there.
Interesting.
What did you disclose to that person about your girl?
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be something that might come up in the 10-year.
That's interesting because if y'all talked a lot about this friend, and what if that person told you some very private things,
some juicy stuff?
Oh, and you was giving good advice, or was you giving bad advice? That's interesting. Cole,
I don't like it. Let me just say this: if it was a year in high school, we're not even adults. So if you're like together a year in high school and it was, we're friends in high school, and that's one thing, because you don't even have real life things going on in high school. You think you do, but you don't. So you could kind of like say, okay, well, 10 years later, we've lived some life and some things have happened. So she could be or he could be a totally different person. But if we both grown adults.
20s. They said they dated in their 20s.
Oh, no. That's too late. That's too late. That's too late. That's too late. No. If they'd have dated for 2 or 3 months and it was talking and it really didn't go anywhere, but a year is a commitment. And yes, I don't care what anybody says, you have disclosed some things to your friends that you have not disclosed to everyone. And keeping that in mind, then going after that person, well, you already know she doesn't like this, or we already know she doesn't like that. So you already have bobbed and weaved through most of the things that your friend had to figure out the hard way. And so I feel like that's a violation. That's a violation.
You already know she does this, and you already know she does that.
She hates when you go here. You got to do this. Oh my, there's too much. There's too much there.
You got the cheat code. Cole, it sound like to me you got the cheat code.
I mean, I think it is breaking code a little bit. I will say that, but. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't like to judge, and I don't, especially if I haven't been in a situation, and if people are claiming that they're in love is a strong word. And if, I just feel like, what do you do with that love? If you're not with that person, you can't just stop loving that person,
But is the question, I guess the question is, should you have even started?
I mean, but they're there now,
No. See, the starting part, the 10-year later starting part is the part that actually worries me, because it's like, a lot. And so I'm assuming the person who's coming into the situation, they're more so blinded because, like you said, we've talked to your friend about things. So
yeah, that's tough.
It does and it doesn't to me. It's very tricky.
Now you've taken the time to fall in love with this person. Where's your friend? All this time you're falling in love. Have you hidden that? Have you hidden that from your friend? Because it takes a little while to fall in love now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Like, what have you said as you guys, like, there's that first initial where you probably have a little question of, is this right or wrong? But let's fast forward to the part where you are in love now. How are y'all pitching this to your friend and getting this, like, how are y'all letting your friend know, now I'm in love? What would your pitch be?
I think that friendship is over.
Oh, no.
I think that if that happens, you have to choose.
You chose love over friends?
I mean,
obviously, because you there. You chose love over friends.
Right. You made your decision. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It would be a rough friendship from that point on.
This is crazy because
And if they can remain friends, that's a very understanding friend.
I was just going to say, I'm going to tell you something right now. Have y'all ever heard of the L word?
Yes, but I haven't watched it.
Have you heard of the L word, Snooker Booker?
No.
Excellent. Excellent. Because I'm going to tell y'all a little something about this. I couldn't wait for y'all to give all these opinions. Because there's a little show called the L word, and the L stands for lesbian. Right? All right. So the L word stands for lesbian. And the show is all about this concept of sometimes I think people would also that are in a small town would understand this. There ain't but so many options around. You might be in a small town where your school and your people around is a handful. Y'all grow up and a lot of people end up dating the same people. I had friends that have dated the person, the other person has dated the person, and guess what? She went back to the first one. I know people I could bring on this show to this day that have done that multiple times. This sounds good. Oh, y'all's little, why'd you fall in love? Yeah, when you ain't got no options around, I think in small towns, this scenario right here has happened plenty of times.
You know what, you're right.
So what you gonna do? End up alone?
You're right.
I mean, but what about
You're right.
even not just in small towns, but even in small industries, the entertainment industry? Come on, like people date
Now
each
the
other.
entertainment
to make
industry
some
goes too
choices.
far with it. Now they go too
Yes, they do.
You
far.
what do people want to date in their tax bracket? We know that there's, I'm just saying, sometimes if I'm a woman like a J Lo and I want somebody that can treat me the way I treat me.
Well, then you can't get upset when people alternate your name when they know that you have been around the industry, because that's the problem.
Alternate.
Wait a minute.
Call you
Time
out
out.
your name.
When she said alternate
I
your
know,
name.
I like that better.
What alternation are you talking about, Cole?
Well, I mean, J-Lo has a reputation to have gone around in the industry, and like you said, she's going back around. She done came full circle back again. So people have so people have named her other names because of that.
Oh, I see.
And then my point is that those are the same people who get upset when they get called out their name, because it's like, okay, we didn't see you now you back to the same person twice.
Yes, but is that really? But that's another thing. We knew all the people you dated.
No. That's not what I'm saying. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when people do that and they round that circle or date within their tax bracket, and then it doesn't work out and they go to the next person, those are the very same people who get very, very upset when they're called other names. So I'm saying it's like when you start just staying in the same group, there's things that are going to happen that you may or may not be happy with. And that's why I said when you're just looking for one tax bracket, or you're looking only for basketball players or only for football players.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I got a type. I ain't got no type. Some people got a type. So that's what I'm trying to say. This scenario, it really, the point, because y'all remember the original thing is, yes, I'm in love now.
But how many people are in love with their friends in that industry? Like, how many people are best friends and they fell in love with their best friend's husband? Like, how many people actually do that?
There's movies about this. Snook, what were you going to say?
I think it all boils down to, from the question, is your priorities. Who is more important to you?
True.
Right.
The lover or the friend? Who has been more valuable to you in your life? The lover or the friend? And when you make that decision, that'll determine if you go with the woman or if you go with the friend.
But the friend would know that too, so they wouldn't be surprised.
Right. I mean, I agree. I agree with Snook. I think that you have to choose. You know, I feel like if you're already in love, you've already made your decision, and you do have to tell I mean, of course, the friend might already know. I don't know how, but you do have to let them know. And it's ultimately up to the friend if they want to even be involved in their lives anymore. But if you're already saying that you're falling in love with their ex, you've already made your decision.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I think that there, you know, you can't have it both ways. You have to make a decision. And if you're in love, you've already made your decision. And if you're in love, we can't argue with that. I don't know.
I don't know why everybody's all this pick one, choose one. I've seen this in the real life happen. Now, for me, somebody like me, I don't prefer it. I don't want to bring my boo thing around and you having memories pop up.
Yeah,
That
no.
to me, but I don't judge if somebody else is cool with that, because again, what if you wasn't the right one? Didn't y'all break up for a reason?
Yeah.
You know
10
what
years
I mean?
ago.
10 years ago, y'all broke up for a reason.
People are salty.
So
People always be salty.
And the friend knows that reason.
yeah, and then they
Yeah.
might be like, you know what? He broke up with you because you got bad hygiene. I know I'm clean.
For
like,
a year though, you can't. I mean, come on.
yeah, there's people that have bad hygiene for a year.
I'm
and
just
then
saying,
you gotta,
like you won't.
Renee.
I'm saying you
put
will
up
not
with it
stay
for a
with
year.
somebody if hygiene was a problem. I don't think you would stay with them.
It
for
took you
one
a year to
year.
figure
I'm
out
just
that
giving one-
that was a
Right.
problem.
Yes,
Hygiene is not a good one.
Yes, I've had teammates and it took me a year to figure out how to tell them your hygiene is not
I
where
mean,
it
but you
should
wouldn't
be.
date that person for. a
That
whole
would be
year.
I would
over.
date that person for a day, but priorities. What does Snook say? Priorities. What's important to you? This might be the one. So I might have to tell them that we might have to learn the groom and everything else that you need to figure out. I'm just saying, I've seen this happen in the small town. I've seen this happen on the L word. We've seen this happen in the industry, of course. So to me, this is a situation that y'all are saying things that sounds good, but it doesn't sound realistic.
But are the people on the L word, do they remain friends?
Oh,
All of
yes,
them.
it's about a group of friends that can't be broken, and they sleep around and cheat around,
Oh,
and
wow.
they end up being together.
This
at the
generation's
end, 'cause
different.
that's
They
what-
different. That's all I gotta say. This generation different.
And I think the concept or the definition of friends needs to be
That's different too.
investigated.
That's different too.
Okay, so now Snook's saying they not really friends, but I digress. All right, y'all, listen. You signed it, homie, lover, friend. You heard the advice from different generations, different backgrounds. You make the best decision that's best for you, because if you happy, boo-boo, do you. Do you. We'll be back with more MoCo. All right, y'all. We had a great time today at Montgomery and Company. We always hope you had a good time as well hanging with us. But listen, like many of you, I'm watching the news. I'm seeing all the devastation caused by hurricanes and storms in many of the southeast cities, including here in our home city of Atlanta. So what I feel is like I'm always going to tell you the sports way of it. And we always used to say like teamwork make the dream work. But in this instance, I'll say Atlanta has been going through it, and we will get through it together, y'all. So support your local organizations doing the work on the ground, because as communities, we all we got, baby. We all we got. All right, thank y'all for joining us for another episode of Montgomery and Company. I'm Renee Montgomery. I'll see y'all next time. Thank y'all for joining us for this episode of Montgomery and Company. Remember, if you've got a question for the MoCo Mailbag, send it to us at moco@wabe.org or at Montgomery Co Pod on Instagram. This show is produced by Think Tank Productions in collaboration with WABE. Our executive producers are Amena Brown, Scotty Crowe, and Sirena Grace. Audio production is by Kevin Rinker and Matt Owen. Video by Ariel Brown, Greg Harding Films, and Rashad Pitts. Until next time, I'm Renee Montgomery, and this is MoCo, where it's all sports, culture, and family business.
WABE.